Hello guys, this is Terry from Genki Gaming TV coming back at you with another Yokai Watch ShadowSide episode review. Today's episode was really exciting to a certain point. It brought out a lot of good developments in general. Today's episode was Kao Dolobo, or Face Thief. And in this episode it starts off with our detective agency at the pool, which is a rather weird place to start an episode at. But Natsume and Hime were just kind of chilling. Akinori was fanboying out, kind of. Well, he's in love with Hime, so regardless of anything, he was all embarrassed. There were bubbles, as you guys could probably see from the picture. He's pretty deeply in love with her. And apparently G-Tan was at the pool too. Apparently yokais like the pool. That's good to know. So anytime you see a yokai, just tell them we're going to the pool. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that segue, but everyone was kind of there. Then we transition into a scene with our boy Haruya and with, I believe it's Ashura, and they're standing there at the sakura tree, and partially I want to think that the sakura tree is actually in the yokai world to a certain degree. So with that truly in mind, we do get to see a lot of interesting development. And I was wrong about the name, calling him Ashura. It's Doketsu, but it's kind of based off of the Ashura theme, kind of. But that's just to be disregarded here. It's Doketsu. But as we move on, we actually get the plot and the story of today's episode, which is actually about the Face Thief. And it actually occurred when two girls were taking selfies together using a Ikemen app, or a Pretty Handsome app, which is linked to the whole Ikemen thing. But as things truly go on here, they let two of their guy friends do it, and when they click the button on the app to basically modify how they look, these pink little tendrily things shot straight out of the phone and sucked their faces off of their sucked their faces off of their heads. But that's kind of to be the main focal point of it, the Face Thief thing. When I originally read the episode name, I thought we were going to be dealing with some alien shenanigans. You know how like the baby aliens in the Alien series, or the young form of them, are those kind of like face crab monster things? That's what I originally thought we were going to be dealing with until I saw this little opening scene. And as we truly transition on, we transition to the Yokai Detective Agency, where apparently Akinori's grandma, who is best grandma, set out Shibas with different flavors, and G-Tan, or Junior, decides to sample them, and each time he goes to eat some, he gets a brain freeze. It's one of the cutest scenes thus far in the Yokai Watch ShadowSide series. So every time he goes to take a bite, he's like, oh, doing the whole brain freeze type thing, which was really interesting. But as things truly go on, we get a little bit of some silly gags going on in the background with Michi and with the app, and it's kind of funny. And then Whisper uses the app and it makes Whisper look amazing. Toma really plays a different role in this episode. He's more or less out, I want to say out of perspective within the episode, meaning Toma is not really in the limelight of it. Toma kind of takes more of an assist role throughout this entire episode. But as the episode goes on, they go and talk to one of the girls that had this traumatic experience with the with the Pretty Handsome app. But they found a link between EK men and people's names. So they were going off of that intel. They find this girl, and she basically explains that it happened to two of her friends while at the mall, and they decide to go to the Pretty Handsome app expo or convention. So there, during the convention, there's like a pretty girls corner, and Natsume and Hime straight up pretty girl it up with a couple different really cute scenes. And you see Akinori and Michi like sitting there on the floor watching everything going on. Feel bad for them. Both of their princesses are unattainable and are made of unattainium, so poor guys. So they're kind of like in this photo machine situation, because the photos print out right in front of Akinori and Michi. They go all blushy and all, oh, isn't Hime great? No, isn't Natsume-san great? Like back and forth. But as things continue on, they go to the handsome tent, or the handsome boys tent, where things are not as they seem. At first, everything is all fine and dandy. And I want to say the host, our main focal point guy, got up on stage and did a little countdown, and then everyone took pictures of themselves, and then used the app to basically modify them. As soon as the modification occurred, those tendril face sucker things shot out of their phones and began to drain them out of existence. And then once everyone was affected by this, our true yokai had shown himself. And that yokai is Shibuminkin. Well, that's the light side name. And while the dark side name is, well, it's basically the same thing, but it's Minkui, which is kind of like a onomatopoeia or a portmanteau, which is like a play on words, face eater. But as things basically go on, they're transitioned to like a shadowy realm. Of course, Haruya is here, and Haruya touched Hime with one of the little twigs or branch pieces from the Sakura tree. And of course, Hime's Hime power caused it to glow and grow. So I backtracked there for a moment, because I want to say Sakura is a very significant tree, or the cherry blossoms are very significant. And in a sense, both cherry and plum blossoms are very significant within Asian lore and culture. So I would suspect that we'll see both come into play. But back to our main focal point here with Shibuminkin. Basically, there's a fight. Akinori's trying to act all big and strong. Natsume cuts him off like I cut myself off mid-thought at times. But that's okay. Natsume summoned both Dark Side Jibanyan, or ShadowSide Jibanyan, and ShadowSide Komasan, and they both wreck our opposing yokai in a display of awesome combat experience. While this is going on, He does try to attack Akinori, and Akinori gets offended because the attack did not work on him, basically inferring that Akinori is not a handsome boy, and that makes him super duper mad. He pulls out the anima bracelet or watch, slams it on like that, and summons Suzaku, who then defeats our opposing yokai. We get a sappy little story about how ShadowSide Dan Doodle is so beautiful and amazing, but yet Shibumin Ken, who's basically of the Dan Doodle perspective, is a slightly older, more rugged looking Dan Doodle. And he's sad that he can't be young and handsome, but Hime cheers him up because that's what Hime does. She is basically someone who buffs people's emotions and makes people feel how she wants them to feel. And we get into the end portion of our episode, and basically what occurs here is we get a scene with our newly acquainted yokai, the Shibumin Ken, and a shadowy creature pulls him off into the abyss, and I want to say devours him, but that might not be the situation. Whoever it is may have just completely defeated him. So I don't know. We didn't see an arc, so there's no contents or context if he's dead or if he's just defeated. I suspect he's just defeated, similar to how Michi was defeated when battling Suzaku. And I would like to imagine that his arc is somewhere, because this yokai could be viable, could be useful to some extent. I don't know what that extent is, but you guys are getting where I'm coming from. All yokais are viable. All yokais can be useful in the grand scheme of things. And then we get our juicy Haruya and Hime scene. Rip Akihime. Rip Tomahime. Rip all other Himes except for Ayame Hime. Or Hime no. Because Haruya goes all, I want to say all like gentleman, and straight up tells her, or implies to her, that he wants to marry her, that she's important, that she is his Hime to a certain extent. Some of this is more or less implied in body language and in how the pronunciations were actually going through, at least in my opinion, because he bows to her and says something about marriage, and Hime's like, you got the wrong person, and Haruya kind of walks away, just wanting to leave her with the fact that he made a point that she is special, she has some potential behind who she is, and that he wants her, or wants to marry her eventually. Some of the Japanese there I could not follow, just because of the audio situation I'm dealing with. Basically, the earbuds I had to use at the time were complete crap. I am gonna re-listen to the scene with my good earbuds, but at the time all I had was older ones to work with. But then we see a different side of Hime. We see Hime with weird eyes, with like a shadowy eye. And she even did some Aikido-like technique earlier. I want to say Hime is a Black Widow spider, basically waiting to destroy the entire world. And that if Shudendoji plus Hime becomes a thing, I mean Haruya plus Hime becomes the thing, then Natsume, Toma, Keisuke, and Akinori are in for probably one of the most difficult fights in Yokai Watch history. This is what I'm gonna call akin to fighting the Four Horsemen, the Four Riders of the Beyond, or whatever you want to akin to. It's gonna be like fighting through a plague while suffering from a famine and a drought, all at the same time. This is gonna be a disastrous showdown. I don't think anyone's going to die, but I do think that the true ruler of the yokai world will finally be seen, and he or she will make his or herself truly known in this situation. You know, whenever you try to hype up a battle, and then the battle kind of ends as a ceasefire of sorts, I feel like that could happen. Because I feel like the Sakura tree represents a gateway, per se, into a different part of the yokai world we've not seen before. Or maybe a new version of a part we have seen in the past. But that's been it for this episode summary. I want to say that Ash Anime and the Yokai Advisor were right about maybe Hime not being so lovey-dovey and wonderful. You guys should go check them out as well. They're yokai episode reviewers and theorists. And I want to thank everyone who's watched the video in general. I appreciate your support. I'm sorry this is late. I shopped and was out of town most of Saturday, and then a majority of Sunday I didn't have internet at home or out visiting my grandmother, so I wasn't able to fully record anything or watch anything. So, yet again, I'm sorry this is late. Thank you all for your wonderful and excellent support, and I truly appreciate you guys. Have yourselves a wonderful morning, afternoon, and or evening. Bye for now.